Welcome to this session on assessing and improving PMO maturity. In today's dynamic business environment, organizations demand more from their project management offices than ever before. A PMO is no longer just an administrative unit. It must demonstrate measurable value, align with strategic priorities, and enable sustainable success.
Over the course of this presentation, we will explore what PMO maturity really means, why it matters, and how it can be assessed and improved. By the end, you will have a clear understanding of how a mature PMO positions itself as a trusted strategic partner, driving value across portfolios, programs, and projects.
In today's rapidly changing business environment, organizations expect more from their project management offices than ever before. It is no longer enough for a PMO to simply exist as an administrative function. Instead, it must demonstrate measurable value and a clear link to strategic outcomes. The level of PMO maturity is what determines whether the office can consistently deliver reliable portfolio, program, and project results while adapting to new priorities, technologies, and market shifts. A mature PMO is efficient in its operations, agile in its approach, and deeply aligned with organizational strategy. It becomes a trusted partner to executive leadership, driving decisions and enabling sustainable business performance. This session will show how assessing and improving PMO maturity positions the PMO as a true strategic enabler.
When we talk about PMO maturity, it's important to move beyond simply asking whether the PMO exists or not. Maturity, in the PMI perspective, is about the sophistication, consistency, and overall effectiveness of the services the PMO provides. A mature PMO does not operate in an ad hoc fashion, nor does it rely on individual heroics. Instead, it is characterized by standardized processes, clear governance mechanisms, and a professionalized approach that consistently meets the needs of both the organization and its stakeholders. The PMI PMO Practice Guide describes maturity as an ongoing journey rather than a destination. It highlights that maturity is not achieved once and then forgotten. Instead, the PMO must continually evolve, adapting its services to respond to changing organizational strategies, shifting market conditions, and new delivery approaches. In this sense, maturity is best understood as a living capability, one that develops and improves over time. The PMO Value Ring framework helps us view maturity not as a rigid set of stages, but as a flexible, multidimensional path. This framework allows PMOs to strengthen specific services that matter most, without being forced to advance in lockstep across all areas. For example, a PMO might already be highly mature in portfolio governance, but less developed in benefits realization or resource management. The key is that maturity should always focus on optimizing service delivery and maximizing value creation. Ultimately, a mature PMO consistently demonstrates credibility, adaptability, and alignment with strategic priorities. It ensures not only that projects and programs are delivered effectively, but that the organization derives real, sustainable value from its investments.
The PMO Value Ring maturity model provides us with a practical framework for evaluating and improving the performance of the project management office across its core service areas. Unlike older maturity models that typically describe a rigid, linear journey through predefined stages, the Value Ring takes a more flexible and multidimensional approach. This means that the PMO can develop maturity in the areas that matter most for its context and strategy, rather than being forced to advance all services at the same pace. At the heart of the model are 26 common PMO services, ranging from portfolio governance and benefits realization to stakeholder engagement, reporting, methodology development, training, and resource management. Each of these services can be assessed individually to determine how mature the PMO is in that specific domain. For example, a PMO might be highly developed in reporting and analytics, with standardized dashboards and data-driven insights, while still being relatively immature in areas like benefits realization or lessons learned management. This flexibility allows leaders to focus on the services with the greatest impact on organizational strategy and stakeholder value. It also avoids the common pitfall of investing equally in all areas, which can dilute efforts and delay the achievement of meaningful improvements. By recognizing that services can mature at different rates, The value ring enables targeted, high-impact interventions. Another strength of this model is that it supports both incremental improvement and transformational change. Whether the PMO is taking its first steps to formalize processes or is already operating at a high level and seeking continuous innovation, the value ring offers a structured pathway for advancement. The ultimate goal is not simply to become mature for maturity's sake, but to strengthen the PMO's contribution to business performance and ensure sustained value delivery.
One of the most effective ways to understand PMO maturity is to examine the specific services that a PMO provides. At its core, a PMO service is a structured activity or function that directly supports the successful delivery of portfolios, programs, and projects. These services are not random or optional add-ons. They are carefully designed capabilities that enhance governance, alignment, organizational capability, and ultimately, the value delivered to the business. The PMI Value Ring identifies 26 common services that together form a comprehensive picture of what a PMO can and should provide. These range from highly strategic functions, such as portfolio governance, strategic alignment, and benefits realization, to operational and delivery-focused areas like schedule management, cost control, and issue management. They also include support and enabling services, such as methodology development, knowledge management, training and coaching, and vendor management. The beauty of this list is that it provides a reference framework for both assessing and improving the PMO. It allows leaders to ask, which of these services are we currently providing? How effectively are we providing them? And where do we have gaps that are limiting our impact? It also helps to ensure that the PMO is not reduced to a narrow administrative function, but is instead recognized as a broad-based enabler of organizational performance. Not every PMO will deliver all 26 services, nor should it attempt to. The key is to tailor the portfolio of services to the organization's needs and strategic context. For some, risk management and reporting may be the highest priorities, while for others, resource management or benefits realization may deliver the greatest value. The important point is that each service represents an opportunity to build credibility, strengthen alignment, and demonstrate tangible value. By systematically evaluating these 26 services, the PMO can identify where it stands today and where it must evolve to remain relevant and indispensable.
The PMO Value Ring describes maturity as a continuum that evolves through 5 distinct stages, each representing a higher level of capability, integration, and value delivery. At the earliest stage, processes are largely ad hoc and inconsistent. The PMO, if it exists at all, relies heavily on individual effort and isolated practices. There is little standardization, and outcomes are unpredictable. This is typical of organizations just beginning to formalize project management structures. As the PMO moves into the second stage, it begins to introduce defined processes, common tools, and basic governance mechanisms. At this level, consistency improves and the organization starts to experience more reliable results. However, performance is still not systematically tracked, and maturity remains fragile if individuals leave or priorities change. The third stage represents a significant step forward. Here, the PMO not only defines processes, but also measures and monitors performance. Metrics such as project delivery times, cost adherence, and stakeholder satisfaction are used to evaluate outcomes. This data-driven approach enables the PMO to demonstrate its effectiveness and build credibility with leadership. In the fourth stage, PMO processes become fully integrated into organizational governance. The PMO is no longer an isolated support function, but a central element of decision-making. Data, processes, and controls are embedded into how the organization manages change and investments. At this level, the PMO begins to significantly shape strategic outcomes. Finally, the fifth stage represents a culture of continuous improvement and innovation. Here, the PMO regularly reevaluates its services, adapts to changes in strategy, and actively seeks to innovate in order to maintain relevance and deliver sustainable value. At this level, the PMO operates as a true strategic partner to leadership, enabling agility while ensuring discipline. This progression demonstrates that PMO maturity is not about achieving perfection at one point in time. It is about building the capability to consistently deliver, adapt, and align with business needs. Each stage strengthens the PMO's role as a driver of strategic performance, and the ultimate aim is to embed maturity as an evolving, dynamic capability within the organization.
Assessing PMO maturity is not something that happens in isolation or only when convenient. In reality, there are very specific organizational events and conditions that make a maturity assessment both timely and essential. One of the most common triggers is leadership change or PMO restructuring. When new executives arrive, or when the PMO itself is reorganized, fresh priorities, expectations, and governance requirements emerge. In these moments, assessing maturity provides a clear understanding of current capability levels, ensuring alignment with the new direction. Another key trigger is the introduction of new strategic priorities or governance requirements. For instance, if the organization embarks on an ambitious transformation, launches a new line of business, or strengthens compliance obligations, the PMO must be evaluated to confirm it has the right services and processes in place. Without such an assessment, there is a risk that the PMO may be misaligned with what the business actually needs. Major organizational shifts are another critical point. Entering new markets, going through mergers or acquisitions, or adopting large-scale transformation programs all raise the stakes for effective portfolio and program management. A maturity assessment ensures that the PMO is prepared to support these transitions. We also see the need for assessments when new delivery approaches, such as agile or hybrid methods, are introduced. These shifts often expose gaps in PMO services, processes, and governance structures. By assessing maturity, leaders can determine what needs to evolve to support new ways of working. Finally, declining project performance or stakeholder satisfaction serves as a powerful warning sign. If projects are failing to deliver on time, within budget, or to expected quality, or if stakeholders are losing confidence, then it is time for a structured review. Similarly, preparation for audits, certifications, or regulatory changes often necessitates documented evidence of maturity across key PMO services. In short, maturity assessments are triggered by change, challenge, or opportunity. They provide a structured, evidence-based way to identify strengths, diagnose weaknesses, and ensure the PMO is aligned with the organization's current and future priorities.
While the triggers for conducting a PMO maturity assessment are often external events such as leadership changes, strategic shifts, or declining project performance, the true value lies in the strategic benefits that these assessments deliver. First and foremost, a maturity assessment provides a clear, data-driven view of the PMO's current capabilities and performance levels. Instead of relying on anecdotal evidence or perception, leaders gain a structured, fact-based picture of where the PMO is strong and where gaps exist. These assessments also allow organizations to identify specific gaps in services, processes, and governance. For example, a PMO may excel in reporting and analytics, but be weaker in benefits realization or resource management. By pinpointing these gaps, leaders can make informed decisions on where to focus investment and improvement efforts. Another benefit is the alignment of PMO services with organizational strategy. Too often, PMOs become disconnected from strategic objectives, providing services that may be well executed but not strategically relevant. A maturity assessment reconnects the PMO to what matters most, ensuring that its services directly support the organization's long-term goals. The insights gained from an assessment also strengthen the PMO's credibility with executives and stakeholders. When leaders can present data-driven recommendations for resource allocation, capability building, or process redesign, they demonstrate transparency and rigor. This builds trust and increases the likelihood of sustained executive sponsorship. Furthermore, these assessments enhance readiness for audits, certifications, and industry benchmarks. Having documented evidence of maturity across key PMO services gives organizations confidence when undergoing external reviews and reinforces their reputation for governance and excellence. Ultimately, the benefits of maturity assessments go beyond identifying problems. they create a strong business case for investment in the PMO. By providing a comprehensive understanding of performance, clarifying priorities, and demonstrating alignment with strategy, assessments enable the PMO to position itself as a vital driver of organizational success. This makes them not just a diagnostic tool, but a powerful enabler of credibility, alignment, and long-term value creation.
When assessing PMO maturity, it is essential to use both qualitative and quantitative indicators because each provides unique insights into the PMO's effectiveness. Relying only on numbers can overlook the perceptions and experiences of stakeholders, while focusing solely on feedback risks ignoring hard performance data. A balanced approach ensures that both perspectives are captured. On the qualitative side, one of the most valuable measures is stakeholder satisfaction. By asking sponsors, executives, and project teams how well the PMO meets their needs, we gain a clear sense of whether services are relevant and trusted. Equally important is the perception of PMO value. Does the organization see the PMO as a vital enabler of strategy or as a bureaucratic overhead? The quality of communication and the morale of project teams also provide powerful signals of maturity, as they reveal how effectively the PMO engages people and supports collaboration. On the quantitative side, measurable delivery outcomes come to the fore. On-time project delivery percentages, benefits realization rates, portfolio alignment scores, and resource utilization rates provide hard evidence of how well the PMO is performing. These metrics demonstrate whether the PMO is delivering reliably, ensuring intended business outcomes are achieved, and managing resources efficiently. By combining these two dimensions, perception and performance, the organization develops a comprehensive, evidence-based view of maturity. For example, a PMO may achieve strong delivery metrics but still suffer from poor stakeholder satisfaction, indicating that while outcomes are achieved, relationships and communications need improvement. Conversely, a PMO may enjoy strong stakeholder support but lack measurable results, suggesting a need to strengthen governance and execution discipline. The goal is not to favor one type of measure over the other, but to integrate them into a balanced maturity profile. This dual perspective allows leaders to see both the tangible results the PMO delivers and the trust and confidence it builds with stakeholders. Together, qualitative and quantitative indicators form the foundation for meaningful maturity assessments that inform actionable improvement strategies.
Conducting a PMO maturity assessment is only the first step. The real value comes from how the results are interpreted and translated into meaningful action. Too often, organizations treat assessments as static reports that are filed away once completed. In reality, an assessment should serve as a catalyst for targeted change, providing a roadmap for improvement that is directly linked to business performance. When interpreting results, the first priority is to identify the service areas where gaps have the greatest impact on organizational outcomes. It is not enough to know that a process is weak. Leaders must understand how that weakness translates into risks or missed opportunities. For instance, poor benefits realization processes may lead to investments in projects that deliver outputs but fail to create true business value. Weak stakeholder engagement may undermine trust, leading to resistance or reduced executive sponsorship. By connecting gaps to tangible impacts, the PMO builds a compelling case for action. Equally important is establishing a clear link between improvement targets and strategic objectives. The results should highlight how raising maturity in certain services, whether it is governance, reporting, or resource management, will help the organization deliver on its strategy. This ensures that every improvement effort is purposeful and not just an exercise in ticking boxes. The assessment also provides a baseline against which progress can be measured over time. By setting clear performance targets and tracking improvements, the PMO demonstrates accountability and transparency. This creates a continuous feedback loop where progress is monitored, value is demonstrated, and adjustments are made as new challenges emerge. Finally, the way results are communicated matters. They should be framed not as a list of deficiencies, but as opportunities for growth and value creation. When positioned this way, the assessment becomes a powerful tool for engaging executives, securing resources, and reinforcing the PMO's role as a driver of strategic success. In short, interpreting results means moving from data to decisions, from insight to action, and from assessment to tangible organizational value.
Improving PMO maturity is not something that happens overnight. It requires a thoughtful balance between immediate, visible improvements and longer-term strategic initiatives that fundamentally strengthen the PMO's role. In practice, this means pursuing what we often call quick wins while simultaneously planning for deeper, more sustainable transformation. On the quick win side, one of the most impactful actions is to standardize reporting formats. By ensuring that project and portfolio information is presented consistently, the PMO reduces confusion, increases comparability, and enhances stakeholder confidence in its outputs. Another fast and highly effective improvement is to establish structured mechanisms for capturing and responding to stakeholder feedback. When the PMO actively listens, analyzes feedback, and makes adjustments, it demonstrates responsiveness and builds trust. A third short-term action is to align existing PMO services with the most urgent organizational priorities. By directing efforts where they matter most, the PMO can quickly show tangible value and win executive support. However, lasting maturity requires more than just quick fixes. Over the long term, the PMO must strengthen its strategic portfolio management capabilities, enabling it to influence decisions at the highest levels and ensure that investments are prioritized and balanced for maximum value. Another critical step is enhancing benefits realization frameworks, moving beyond measuring outputs to ensuring that projects deliver measurable business outcomes. Embedding agility into service delivery models is equally important, allowing the PMO to support predictive, adaptive, and hybrid approaches while maintaining governance and strategic alignment. Finally, investment in data and technology, such as predictive analytics, empowers the PMO to forecast risks, identify trends, and provide forward-looking insights that guide decision-making. Taken together, these quick wins and long-term strategies establish a comprehensive roadmap for maturity growth. Quick wins build momentum and stakeholder confidence, while long-term initiatives ensure the PMO evolves into a strategic asset. The balance between the two is what transforms maturity from a concept into a sustained organizational capability that continuously delivers value.
One of the most important lessons about PMO maturity is that it is never a one-time milestone. Organizations evolve constantly in response to new strategies, market dynamics, regulatory requirements, and technological innovation, and the PMO must evolve with them. What was considered a highly mature PMO 3 years ago may quickly become outdated if it does not adapt to changing expectations. For this reason, maturity must be viewed as an ongoing journey that demands continuous attention and improvement. Embedding a culture of continuous improvement means building regular reassessment into the PMO's operating model. These reviews should not be ad hoc or reactive, but planned, systematic, and valued by leadership. Conducting maturity assessments annually or biannually allows the PMO to identify shifts in priorities, uncover emerging risks, and seize opportunities for innovation. This practice ensures that the PMO does not stagnate but remains aligned with organizational objectives and external trends. Continuous improvement also fosters agility and resilience. By regularly reflecting on performance and adapting services, the PMO becomes more responsive to new challenges, whether that is a shift toward agile delivery, a regulatory change, or a strategic pivot by leadership. Instead of scrambling to adjust when external pressures arise, the PMO is already in a cycle of evolution, making change feel natural and embedded. Equally, this approach strengthens credibility with stakeholders. When executives see that the PMO is committed to refining its services, learning from past results, and continuously striving for better outcomes, confidence in the PMO grows. It is no longer perceived as a static support function, but as a dynamic partner that enables the organization to stay competitive and deliver sustained value. Ultimately, continuous improvement is about keeping maturity relevant. It ensures that the PMO is not just effective today, but also prepared for tomorrow. By embedding this mindset, the PMO secures its role as an adaptive, value-creating, and indispensable part of the organization's strategic fabric.
As we conclude this session, it is important to reflect on the bigger picture of why PMO maturity matters. A project management office that operates at a low level of maturity may succeed in providing administrative support, but it rarely goes beyond delivering reports or enforcing compliance. By contrast, a mature PMO positions itself as a true strategic asset, one that not only supports project delivery, but actively enables the organization to achieve its most critical objectives. This transformation involves more than just improving processes. It requires the PMO to deliberately align its services with the highest priorities of the business. By ensuring that every service, from governance and reporting to resource management and benefits realization, is strategically relevant, the PMO demonstrates that it is not a cost center, but a value-creating partner. The ability to consistently deliver measurable outcomes, adapt to change, and integrate with organizational strategy builds credibility and trust with executives.
The PMO Value Ring framework provides a powerful tool for guiding this journey. It enables targeted improvements that yield quick wins through efficiency, responsiveness, and stakeholder satisfaction, while also laying the foundation for long-term strategic gains. When applied with discipline, the model ensures that maturity is not a one-off achievement, but a continuous evolution that strengthens alignment, enhances adaptability, and maximizes impact. Ultimately, the mature PMO becomes an indispensable partner to leadership. It shapes decisions, informs strategic investment, and drives measurable benefits across portfolios, programs, and projects. By managing maturity as an ongoing journey, organizations can unlock the full potential of their PMOs, ensuring they remain relevant, credible, and capable of enabling success in an increasingly complex business environment. This is the true vision of a PMO as a strategic enabler, not just a service provider, but a driver of long-term organizational performance and value.